Okay, let's look at this question, which is about JTF leaves and promotion. The CEO of the Jamshedpur tea factory, JTF, was in a quandary over employees skipping work. All right. It was becoming increasingly difficult for him to identify employees who faked illness to skip work. All right. So this seems like the problem statement here, or one of the problem statements. So this is a common problem, right? I mean, people take sick leaves and sometimes they take fake sick leaves to skip work. So this was the CEO's problem. It was becoming increasingly difficult for him to identify employees who are taking fake sick leaves. The work of the employees was complex and intricate, all right? And they had to report to 8 supervisors. Okay, now this is very unusual, right? The employees' work is complex and intricate, and they had to report to 8 supervisors, or you can say they had 8 managers. Now this is obviously a very, very difficult organizational structure. One employee reporting to 8 supervisors, right? Clearly very complicated. Faking illness made it difficult for JTF to judiciously decide on promotion and training of employees. Okay, so faking illness or fake sick leaves was coming in the way of JTF to decide on promotions and training of employees effectively, right? Obviously, every company wants to promote the best people, and here in this case, they want to train them as well. But because employees were submitting fake sick leaves or taking fake sick leaves, it was coming in the way of JTF making judicious judgments on promotion and training of employees. Okay, so it was difficult for JTF to judiciously decide. All right. An employee could only be promoted on the completion of a multi-skilling training program. All right, so that was a condition for promotion, that they have to complete a multi-skilling training program. Further, to be nominated for the training program, an employee must be recommended by a minimum of 6 supervisors. All right, very interesting. So they have to complete a training program to get promoted. That's the condition. And to be nominated for the training program, they have to be recommended by a minimum of 6 supervisors. JTF wanted to promote only sincere and deserving employees, right? I mean, pretty much every company would want to do that, right? They would want to promote, at least on paper, only sincere and deserving employees. But they have a problem statement. So the problem statement is clear here, right? The problem statement is identification of fake sick leaves, right? That is the CEO's issue. They're not able to identify which sick leaves are fake out of the sick leaves that are submitted. Now, something that we have to take into mind is that the employees are reporting to 8 supervisors, right? And the faking illness bit is coming in the way of them deciding on promotions and training. Now, also for promotion, they require a training, right? So training is a condition that needs to be fulfilled for the promotion to come through. Okay. And for the training, it says that further to be nominated for the training program, an employee has to have a recommendation from at least 6 supervisors. So let's keep that in mind as well. Okay. All right. Fantastic. So do take notes in BDM. That's always a best practice. And now let's go to the questions. Okay. The CEO was thinking of changing the policy regarding leave, training, and promotion. All right, not a surprise, because the CEO was facing a difficulty, right? Their main problem is, the problem statement is identification of fake illness. So they're thinking of changing the policy regarding leave, which is the problem, training and promotion. Remember, leave impacts training and promotion as well. Which of the following will be the most efficient course of action for JTF and yet be fair to the employees? All right, so the CEO is thinking of changing the policy, and the question is asking us to choose the most efficient course, keeping 2 things in mind, right? One is, of course, it should be the most efficient course of action for JTF. So that's one thing that we have to keep in mind while choosing options. And the course of action that we choose, apart from being efficient, it should be fair to the employees as well. So we have to keep in mind both these things and then choose an option. All right, and of course, keep the problem statement in mind, which is identification of fake illness. All right. Okay. Number 1, let the CEO office decide on the leave as well as promotions, right? Remember, we're choosing the most efficient course of action. So it's the most optimal course of action or the best course of action. right? Efficiency also means that there shouldn't be any wastage of resources. We have to keep that in mind as well, and fair to the employees. Let the CEO office decide on the leave as well as promotions. All right. Now, CEO office, if we let them decide on the leave as well as promotions, we're burdening them with too much. Okay. We are saying that, okay, the CEO office will decide on leave and promotions as well. Number one, we're burdening them with too much. So this might not be the most efficient course. We'll have to see if there are better options. Also, if we're letting the CEO office decide on promotions, think about it. Okay. Promotions are obviously done based on the performance of employees, right? Now, this company has many employees. Would the CEO office have context into performance of each and every employee? No, right? The CEO and C-level management, the top level management, usually will not have context into what each and every employee is doing, right? That's the job of the middle management, and that's why we have middle management, right? So if we have employees, okay, and they have supervisors, as in the case of JTF, the supervisors will have context into their work. Each employee is reporting into 8 supervisors, right? That's what it says. Report to 8 supervisors, right? These supervisors will have context into the performance of employees. The CEO will not have context into the performance of each and every employee. So letting the CEO office decide on promotions cannot be the most efficient course of action, right? The CEO won't have context. So the decisions, if we do that, the decisions that the CEO office will take can be wrong because they don't have context into performance, right? So this doesn't look like the right answer. Also, as I said, we're burdening them with too much. This can't be the right answer. There has to be a better one, but let's park this. Okay. Let supervisors decide on the leave of an employee. All right. Now, this option doesn't talk about promotions. We're thinking of changing the policy regarding leave, training, and promotion, right? This says let supervisors decide on the leave of an employee. What about the promotions bit? It doesn't cover that. And also letting supervisors deciding on the leave of an employee can be problematic here. They have 8 supervisors. Each employee is reporting into 8 supervisors. If the employee files for a sick leave, which supervisors decides on the sick leave? There will be confusion, right? And on what basis? Okay, each supervisor, if you leave it to the supervisors, the decisions can become arbitrary. There won't be consistency in these decisions. And the bigger problem is which supervisor decides on the leave of this employee. That can become a problem. So promotions part is missing. And also leaving supervisors to decide on the leave of an employee is not the most efficient course of action here. So we're going to eliminate this. Let the CEO office decide on promotion. All right. But each supervisor will decide on that leave. Now, there are problems here. Read the option very carefully. Let the CEO office decide on promotion. It has the same issues as 1. The CEO won't have context. The CEO office won't have context into the performance of each and every employee. So that's a problem. Each supervisor will decide on the leave. Each of the 8 supervisors, right? So that means when an employee files for leave, are we saying that each of those 8 supervisors has to approve the leave? I mean, it's a sick leave. Going through a chain of 8 supervisors might just consume the whole day. And then there is no need for the sick leave, right? Obviously, I'm joking here. But letting each of the 8 supervisors decide on leave cannot be the most efficient course. It definitely has wastage. Why are we involving 8 supervisors to decide on leave of 1 employee? It's not the most efficient course. It has wastage of resources. So this is not the answer. There are 2 problems here, the promotion and the leave. Let the CEO office decide on leave, but supervisors will recommend promotions. Now, this is very good. This is typically what happens in companies, right? Your direct reporting manager will build a case for you for promotion. I mean, the direct manager doesn't decide on the promotion usually, but they build the case for you. If they think that you're deserving of promotion, they will collect data, they have the context into your performance, they will build a case and then present it to top management and HR, who will take the approval. But the process starts with your immediate manager or supervisor. That is very important because they have immediate context into your work. So this is very good. Supervisors will recommend promotion. These are the best people to recommend promotions because they know about the work. So this is correct. CEO office deciding on leave. Now, this is a good option in this case because the problem statement that we have is employees are faking illness and the company is not able to identify who's faking illness. So the problem statement, if you give the control to the CEO office, right, they can put in resources to solve this problem, and they can also apply the leave policy consistently. Okay, leaving it to the supervisors will make it subjective. But in this case, if you leave it to the CEO office, they can come up with a strong leave policy, apply it consistently, and also involve resources that can solve this problem of identification of fake illness. So centralization here can help solving the major problem statement that they have. So this is a good option. Let's park it. Let status quo continue. Let status quo continue means let it be as it is. There is no solution then, right? There is a problem. If we let the status quo continue, the problem will continue. How can this be the option? This is definitely not the most efficient course of action. This is not even a solution, right? So this goes away. Now, between 1 and 4, definitely 4 is better, right? Because as I said, supervisors should recommend promotions, okay? And CEO office deciding on leave will bring in centralization, which can help solve the problem statement in this case. Hence, the answer is 4. Okay, all right. Let's look at question 2. Which of the following policies will be most prone to error while selecting deserving and sincere employees? So read the question very carefully. That becomes very important in BDM. Which of the following policies will be most prone to error? So we have to pick a policy which is most prone to error. So there's a negative there in the question. While selecting deserving and sincere employees. Okay, so this you can infer that this is selecting deserving and sincere employees for promotion. Right, that we can infer from the set, because it says clearly that JTF wanted to promote only sincere and deserving employees. So that's definitely about promotion. So which of the policies will be most prone to error? Okay, read the question carefully and account for the negative. And let's choose an option which will answer that question. Okay, so, or we can say, if we rephrase the question, which is the least effective policy, or which is the most problematic policy, right? In out of the 5 options. Number 1, outsource all leave decisions to a doctor whose judgment will be final. Okay, remember the problem statement, identification of fake illness. If we are outsourcing all leave decisions to a doctor, that's a good policy. The doctor will be probably the best person who can identify whether the illness is fake or not. So in this case, this is a good solution to the problem, but this can't be our answer because we're looking for most prone to error. This is actually a good solution. Okay, so this is not our answer. Outsource all leave decisions to a lawyer whose judgment will be final. Okay, now this is a tricky one, right? Now you're probably wondering, if we are outsourcing leave decisions to a lawyer, how will a lawyer decide whether somebody is faking illness or not, right? Obviously, the lawyer doesn't have medical expertise. But think about it, this is a lawyer, right? A lawyer is generally good at investigation. Lawyers are shrewd people, right? They have the resources to investigate, and they have the resources to figure out the truth as well. So from that perspective, this is not a bad option, right? I mean, you may argue that what does a lawyer know about illness? But remember, lawyers do investigation. They do have the resources to investigate. That can come in handy in this situation. It may sound a little extreme, right? But we are looking for a policy which is most prone to error. Okay, so whether it's extreme or not, we are not going to get into that. Okay, can this solve the problem? Maybe to a certain extent because of the investigation that a lawyer can do. But let's park it. All right. Okay. Number 3, let the CEO office decide on leave, but supervisors will recommend the promotion. Now, this, when you read this option, question 1 will come into your head, right? We chose the most efficient course of action there. And what was the most efficient course of action? Exactly this. We said, let the CEO office decide on leave, but supervisors will recommend promotion. This was the most efficient course of action that you picked. So you've already put in thought there. This can't be most prone to error, right? So, but again, let's not connect questions. CEO office deciding on leave, supervisors will recommend promotions. This is great because, as I said, they have context into work. And CEO office deciding on leave, just like how I said in the previous question, centralized problem solving. This is good. This is actually the most efficient course of action. We're looking for most prone to error, so this is not our answer. Let the CEO office decide on the leave as well as promotions. Again, we are burdening the CEO office with leave and promotions decisions both. Okay, the CEO office can take a decision on leave because, again, centralized problem solving. But the CEO office taking a decision on promotions is not a good idea. Okay, so this can be prone to error, but let's park it. Okay, we have to choose most prone to error. All right. So here the leave part is fine, but the promotions part can be prone to error because the CEO won't have context. Okay. Number 5, let the CEO office decide on promotions, but supervisors will decide on the leave. Now, CEO office deciding on promotions is a problem. They don't have context into work, so that will be prone to error. Supervisors deciding on leave. Now, we have 8 supervisors for each employee. If we leave them to decide the leave, number one, the first question is who out of the 8 will decide on the sick leave? Number one. And whether we'll have, if we have a policy, will that be consistently applied by all the supervisors? 8 people, okay, deciding on the leave, and it can be random, any one of them can do it. What is the guarantee that the policy will be applied consistently? In fact, inconsistency can definitely creep in because you have 8 people, too many people. And deciding a leave, why do you need 8 people, right? Number one. So there are many problems here. One, who out of the 8 will decide? If all 8 are coming together and decide, that is not required. That is also going to create problems. And again, if you leave it to supervisors, each supervisor can come up with an arbitrary decision or can come up with a subjective decision. And that decision might not be fair, and the leave policy won't be applied consistently. So there are all sorts of problems that can creep in if you leave the leave decisions to supervisors. So there are 2 issues here, right? CEO office deciding on promotions, problematic. Supervisors deciding on leave is also problematic. Okay, so now if you compare 5 with 4, 5 is worse because 4 had only one problem, which was the promotions part. 5 has 2 problems, so 4 is gone. Okay, then you're left with 2 and 5. Now, this is honestly tricky. Okay, quite a few of you might have picked 2 because, again, you would have thought that lawyers won't have context. But also think about this. One, the lawyers are good at investigation, so we have to consider that as well. So this is not a bad option, right? And if you compare 2 and 5, 2 has, even if you say that, okay, the lawyer's judgment can be poor, that is one problem, whereas 5 has 2 problems. Okay, so even if you compare 2 and 5, first of all, 2 is not a bad option because of the reasons that we discussed. But even if you take that into account, 5 has 2 problems as compared to 2, which has only one problem. Hence, 5 will be most prone to error. Okay, now this was a very tricky question. One of the tricky questions last year, but yeah, the answer is 5 because of the 2 problems that we have in option 5. All right, okay.